Welcome to Timekeeping. This show will attempt to chronicle year-by-year changes to Disneyland Paris, from the excitement of a new ride opening to the minutiae of a store changing names. Join us as we celebrate 30 years of the resort. A Beauty and the Beast stage show opened in the Videopolis in Discoveryland in 1993. The show is very similar to the one that was offered at the then Disney MGM Studios, which is still performing to this day. The show would run there until 1996. On January 1st, 1994, the New York Times ran a story titled, "Eisner says Euro Disney may close," from Calvin Sims. The story read, quote, "In the strongest indication yet that Euro Disney is in danger of closing, Michael D. Eisner, the chairman of the Walt Disney Company, has told a news magazine in France that the struggling French theme park could shut down if he failed to reach an agreement with its creditor banks on a financial rescue." An article published today in the French news magazine Le Point quoted Mr. Eisner as saying that Euro Disney must reach an agreement by March 31st with its banks and investors on a solution to the park's financial crisis. "If the engine of an airplane falls out in full flight, what are the options?" Mr. Eisner said in the article. "Anything is possible today, including closure." The magazine said Mr. Eisner made the comments 2 weeks ago. Still, the article today was the second published report in a week in which Mr. Eisner had publicly criticized the performance of the company's unprofitable Euro Disney venture. In Walt Disney's 1993 annual report, released on Tuesday, Mr. Eisner said the French theme park was, quote, "our first real financial disappointment since he took over the company more than a decade ago." Mr. Eisner blamed the dismal performance on Europe's recession and the strong French franc. Creditors, which include Banque Nationale de Paris, Credit Agricole, Deutsche Bank, Midland Bank, JP Morgan, and Bank Indo-Suez, have begun negotiations with Euro Disney and the Walt Disney Company, but progress towards a solution has been slow. Analysts have said Euro Disney would need a cash infusion of $1.5 billion to give it a chance of paying down the debt of $3.75 billion. A possibility under review is that part of Euro Disney's debt could be converted into stock, of which Mr. Eisner would assume $750 million if the banks came up with the balance, the analyst said. But so far, the banks are reluctant to accept such a plan until they have evidence that the performance of the theme park will improve. An analyst who spoke on condition of anonymity said today that he thought Mr. Eisner's comments in Le Point were intended to paint a worst-case scenario to expedite an agreement between the bankers. Later in January of '94, Sanford Litvak, an attorney from New York City and former assistant attorney general during Jimmy Carter's presidency, was assigned to be Disney's lead negotiator regarding Euro Disney's future. On February 28th, Litvak made an offer without the consent of Eisner or Frank Wells to split the debts between Euro Disney's creditors and Disney. After the bank showed interest, Litvak informed Eisner and Wells. On March 14th, the day before the annual shareholder meeting, the banks capitulated to Disney's demands. The creditor banks bought $500 million worth of Euro Disney shares, forgave 18 months of interest, and deferred interest payments for 3 years. Disney invested $750 million into Euro Disney and granted a 5-year suspension of royalty payments. In June of that same year, a Saudi Arabian prince cut a deal whereby the Walt Disney Company bought 51% of a new $1.1 billion share issue, the rest being offered to existing shareholders at below market rates, with the prince buying any that were not taken up by existing shareholders up to a 24.5% holding. In August of '94, all of the park's hotels were fully booked during the peak holiday season, and October 1st, Euro Disney adopted its current name, Disneyland Paris. As part of the added capacity program, Imagineer Jim Shull pitched a new version of the Casey Jr. Circus train and the Storybook Land canal boats from Disneyland in Anaheim. The two attractions would be crammed into an expansion pad just beyond the train tracks in Fantasyland. This time, the little steam engine that could, from Walt Disney's Dumbo, would take the form of a Vekoma-powered coaster. It would open a few weeks ahead of the accompanying boat ride in March of '94. The little coaster would be a Disney first in many ways, being the first to have onboard audio as well, something that would revolutionize the industry in the years that followed.
The guests maybe ask themselves, I see people in cages being pulled by a train. Why do I want to get in a cage? So you want to set it up immediately. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's not a cage. You are an animal. Animals are going to the circus. They're being transported in a happy circus train by a engine which has a face on it, so it's alive. So we mean you no harm as we take you around the upper regions of Storybook Land. And you can, you have variable speed, so you can go faster and slower. You can go up hills where you hear the I think I can, I think I can, I think I can cue. You then coast down where we increase the speed. You have, again, the music from Casey Jr. And there are things to see. All of the little scenes in Storybook you get to see, but not from the canal boat viewpoint, but from the Casey Jr.'s viewpoint.
Yeah.
So we were using basically double duty. Whatever we built for the canal, you'd be able to see it from Casey.
On April 3rd of 94, the Storybook Land canal boats would open as Le Pays de Contes de Fées. According to Imagineer Tom Morris, in the attraction, we wanted to portray the great Disney classics of the past, present, and those yet to come, but it was equally important for us to stay close to Walt's original idea, which was offer a tour of the world in miniature. Night on Bald Mountain and Peter and the Wolf evoke Eastern Europe and Russia, Snow White evokes Germany, and Beauty and the Beast, France. Without a narrator due to the many languages of guests visiting the park, music is used to narrate the story, which is why some stories were told over others. Despite this choice, guests still had a hard time understanding what was going on, so changes needed to be made, including to the strange finale scene which represented Disney's long-forgotten film, Return to Oz.
To Storybook Land in Anaheim. You on the canal boat are going past all the beautiful sets and little miniature villages of Pinocchio and Toad Hall and, Agrabah and the like. And the operator tells you, Tom, and me, Jim, what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And they'll usually say things like, oh, you can't see Toad because he's inside his little house having tea. Well, remember, in Paris, you don't have an operator.
Yeah.
And if you did, they'd have to say it in 6 languages, which means you're way past Toad Hall before they get through the 6 languages. So the answer to the question that the guest star asked was, I don't know what that building is. You're telling me it's Toad Hall. I have a little plaque saying Toad Hall, or it's Eric's Castle. I didn't see that movie. I don't know what you're talking about. So the solution shortly thereafter was hit him over the head. And so little figures were commissioned for Chernabog and Ariel and the Wizard of Oz characters. And so they're all in there. And I should point out here that Canal Boats is an international, it's a retelling of international fairy tales. And the reason Oz is there because it's an American fairy tale. Of all of the fairy tales, Americans don't really have fairy tales, except for Wizard of Oz. You have Wizard of Oz and Wizard of Oz and more Wizard of Oz. So you have Wizard of Oz. And if you go back to that movie you just quoted of Return to Oz, there really isn't that 30-second clip or that 2-minute clip of music that you'd listen to and go, wow, I'm stirred. I feel good about life. This is the end of the ride. I feel really great. Oh, that's the cherry on this wonderful ride experience you've given me. Can't wait to ride it again. So Main Street Electrical gives you all of, answers those questions. Why? It's quick, it's snappy, it's peppy, it's fun. It sends you off the ride in a happy, joyous mood. So it's I wish the Return of Oz had a great, musical score.
The ride system for Storybook Land in France would be something quite different as well, as the boats are on a continuously moving wire system, kind of like an omni-mover for boats. On the 26th of May, 94, the Marne-la-Vallée-Chessy TGV station opened. This train station, which today welcomes 88 TGV trains by day, has become the biggest TGV hub in all of France, serving 54 French and international cities a day. The asset adds new ways of accessing the resort, and to celebrate its opening, a huge 300-meter-long paper train traveled down Main Street, USA. In 1993, Café de Visionnaires in Discoveryland was closed due to a lack of demand. It was replaced in 1994 by an arcade of extra-charge games called Arcade de Visionnaires. The envisioned Discovery Mountain in Discoveryland was proposed to hold more than one attraction, including an improved version of Horizons from Epcot, a larger Nautilus walkthrough complete with a restaurant, and a freefall ride based on Journey to the Center of the Earth. With the financial problems, the project was severely cut, and it was decided that a shortened Nautilus walkthrough minus the underwater sit-down restaurant and a standalone Space Mountain ride would be the next phase for the park. Beside the Space Mountain show building is the Nautilus Lagoon, with a stunning recreation of the Nautilus submarine from Walt Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Les Mystères du Nautilus, French for the Mysteries of the Nautilus, is a walkthrough recreation of the famous vessel captained by Nemo. This attraction would open on July 4th, 1994, which is of no subsequence in France. It's not a holiday there. Imagineer Tim Delaney recalls, quote, "In Discoveryland, we wanted to present visual icons that represented the dreams of discovery. The mythical dirigible Hyperion represents the ultimate vessel for air travel. Representing our dreams of outer space excursions, we used the Star Wars X-Wing fighter. For the world of personal exploration, we chose one of the most recognizable icons for undersea exploration, Jules Verne's Nautilus submarine. As most of Disneyland Paris is a love letter from Imagineers who were fans of Disneyland as a child, inspiration came from Walt's park. A movie set walkthrough from 20,000 Leagues existed at Disneyland for many years in its infancy. With the help of the brilliant Tom Sherman, they would recreate many scenes of the classic attraction, but this time completing the illusion that you're actually on board the Nautilus and not just on a movie set. Tom drew more than 250 small illustrations on paper napkins to clarify each detail of the Nautilus and how the various chambers fit together. Tom even built all of the underwater diving equipment on board himself. Tom's work continued beyond the attraction as well, with a model in the waiting area of the Visionnaires attraction, as well as the golden Nautilus that lives above the fireplace in Walt's restaurant on the second floor. For his work, the Imagineers awarded him with a certificate, making him the Admiral of the Nautilus. It was a lifelong dream come true for the passionate fan. Guests enter what looks like a lighthouse and proceed into the attraction through an underwater corridor, and 6 rooms are visited inside the Nautilus. The ballast compartment is a dimly lit room with an open safe at the center. Inside the safe is the treasure Captain Nemo has gathered from his many underwater exploration. Ned Land's guitar from the movie is visible among all of the coins and such. In Captain Nemo's room, the cabin is complete with a bed and a bathroom, allowing guests to have a look at the captain's belongings and his collections of books and paintings. The charts room is the hub of the Nautilus, with staircases ascending to the wheelhouse and the main deck above, although these cannot be visited. Several charts are displayed, including one representing Volcania Island, Nemo's lair from the film. For the diving chamber, the center of this small chamber is a trapdoor leading to the bottom of the ocean underneath. Diving suits stand along the wall. The main salon is the heart of the Nautilus. Books, artifacts, and numerous treasures of the sea are gathered here. The captain's organ stands on the far side, and guests can see Nemo's reflection when they're staring at the mirror just above the keys. One window opens on the ocean's depths and allows guests to witness an attack of a giant squid. As it approaches, one can see its beak reach for the submarine. The creature is later repulsed by an electric zap. The squid attack was more developed in 1994. It began with the organ playing and with Nemo's short speech about his ocean kingdom. Then the window would open for guests to witness the ocean depths until a giant tentacle hit the glass. Captain Nemo ordered the window to close and tried to free the submarine from the squid's grip. Yet bursts of water from the ceiling reached the audience and the engines eventually broke down. Finally, as the window opened, guests could see the whole monster. Electric zaps struck it, but it would not unleash the submarine until zaps got stronger. Due to technical problems, the scene was shortened. The last room is the engine room. Machines and engines powering the propellers can be found here, along with the power unit on the opposite wall. The scene also showcases some smoke effects. Although guests may believe they are visiting the submarine they see in the lagoon, the underwater tunnel actually leads them complete in the opposite direction, just outside the public areas of Discoveryland, into a hidden show building. The winding staircase into the attraction helps to disorient guests so they don't realize where they are going. Over in Frontierland, the Indian Canoes attraction would close forever in October of 1994. Well, time sure flies. If you're enjoying this jump from time to time with us, please hit the like button and subscribe for more great content. If you'd like to support this show and others, you could do so by joining the WDWNT Interglobe Society at patreon.com/WDWNT. To pick up the perfect gear for a visit to any Disney park around the world, head on over to the Carousel of Products at carouselofproducts.com. We'll see you real soon right here on Timekeeping.